As autumn approaches, soon it will be time for another series of Downton Abbey. And frankly, if you think of the downward trajectory that show is on, I dread to think what it'll be like. It'll probably just be an animated turd standing on a Tesco logo and screaming the word why. I mean, what the hell happened during Series 2? And don't say the war, I'm only too well aware the war happened in it. But what happened to the writing? The first series of Downton Abbey I found mildly enjoyable. It wasn't brilliant, but it was a likeable and Moorish drama. I say drama, it was basically soapy in appeal, but souped up with petticoats and footmen. Nothing wrong with souped up soap. Okay, it tastes slightly of soap, but mainly of soup. And soup is nice. Series 1 gave us vaguely interesting characters experiencing vaguely plausible events in a vaguely interesting setting. Who could possibly ask for any more than that in this day and age? Maybe in the era Downton Abbey fetishistically depicts, when everyone knew their place, drama was better, but in our current, less spacious age, it'll certainly do. It was well acted, it had funny bits, it was, in general, pretty well cobbled together. Then the second series came along and it went completely nuts. For one thing, it started hemorrhaging history. The first series used up about 2 years, which was already too much, but the second whipped us through a whole sodding world war. Which is all very well, but it was still trying to tell the personal stories, the love and hate and bonking that people actually watch for, at the same speed as before. So in one show you had that chauffeur moaning on about Ireland and the class system and suggesting a quick hump to one of the Lord's daughters, and then in the next you get her huffy yet slightly aroused reply, which would be fine, except in the story it's supposed to be 8 months later. Even before email, people got back to people about stuff like that in less time than it takes to kill another 400,000 men in trench warfare. It was as if the First World War was taking place in Narnia. And at the same time, the plotting went nuts as well. Everything started happening to everybody. It hadn't exactly been a gritty slice of cinema verite before, but now it crucially tipped over the line beyond which it's impossible to suspend your disbelief, and you can't help but realise it's just actors saying lies in hats. Suddenly, a guy turns up with bandages round his face, saying he's the long-lost heir, but he's only just remembered because of shell shock. Then, just as suddenly, he sods off and no one mentions him again. That's why I couldn't get particularly worked up about the supposed historical inaccuracies. The stories were already so lunatic that Lord Grantham nipping over to the Somme in an Apache helicopter wouldn't have noticeably increased the net daftness. But fine, sometimes TV shows are bad and sometimes good ones, or okay ones, go off the boil. So what? Well, the thing that really worries me about this is that it didn't make a blind bit of difference to the show's success. The second series was just as popular as, in fact slightly more popular than the first. All the people who'd got into the enjoyable first series continued with the bonkers second one without apparently blinking an eye. Or certainly not blinking enough of an eye to stop watching it. How did that happen? Maybe the second series wasn't a failure of writing at all. Maybe it's my failure to understand what Downton Abbey is for. Perhaps it's just a delivery system for olden days hairdos and Dame Maggie Smith. The second series still has the collars and the curly bells and a big magic house in the sky. What does it matter what the pretend people are saying? But then why bother to make the first series good? Is it like drugs? You use the good uncut stuff to get your hapless victims hooked, and then you can just fob them off on the stuff that's cut with rat poison? Because if not, Series 1 is the shameful one, because it's a woeful waste of resources. Why bother making something remotely plausibly plotted and characterised when the vast majority of the viewers can't tell the difference? You're just wasting time and effort, which could be better spent thinking up jingles for car insurance comparison websites. The rising ratings for Downton Abbey suggest that properly scripting TV drama has about as much point to it as opening an art gallery for cattle. They're just standing there, chewing the cud, staring into space. If you invest a lot of effort into art to put in front of their vacant gazes, it's your own time you're wasting.